Tennessee is somewhat better than Texas in two regards, and that is weather and the natural landscapes. Now, when it comes to everything else, I think that Texas and Tennessee are pretty similar. When it comes to like politics, Texas and Tennessee are both very much conservative, red states. We have Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee, and in Texas, they have Greg Abbott. And so, if you live in Tennessee or live in Texas, the thing is that you'll see that there's a mixture of a population of people with a diversity of opinions, diversity of philosophies, ideologies, and political beliefs. Where if you go in the cities, they're pretty liberal to somewhat moderate, to outside the rural counties, you'll get really conservative people. So in both states, it's really where you live that you kind of are surrounded by a different mixture of people. So I think that's one thing that both states have going for them. Like when I was in Austin, Texas, for example, it was actually pretty conservative. Even though people say Austin, Texas is a pretty liberal city, I met, libertarians. I met a lot of different types of folks there. And so Austin was pretty diverse in that regard, in regards of political beliefs. So I think that's not really much of a huge problem for either states. The other thing is like demographics. This is where these two states are completely different. Texas has around 30 million people and is one of the kind of fastest growing states. Tennessee has around 6 to 7 million people. And when you look at it in terms of like demographics, the cities are pretty overcrowded and they are pretty full of traffic and have those types of issues, especially in Austin, Texas, where I was staying at for a year and a half. Because of a growing population there, yeah, Austin, Texas had some really terrible traffic in that city. And also when I visited Houston, the traffic in that city is insane. I mean, the 20-lane highways there is so crazy, and how overcrowded that city is, in my opinion. Now, to give some credit, though, to Texas, when I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for about 3 years, the traffic there was pretty bad as well, because Nashville was growing within Davidson County. The kind of infrastructure really wasn't being improved upon fast enough for all the growing number of vehicles that were on the roads, so we had really terrible traffic there. So yeah, outside of the cities, of course, outside of San Antonio, outside of Austin, Texas, and Houston, you won't be facing that kind of overcrowding, because of it's a huge, massive state of Texas, which is around 268,596 square miles. It's like the second largest state after Alaska. So I wouldn't say it's overcrowded in the countryside, but yeah, it is pretty overcrowded when it comes to the cities if you want to deal with traffic. And I could say the same about Nashville, Tennessee. In that sense, yeah, these states aren't really difficult states to live in when you're living in suburbia. Yeah, like for example, I grew up in Clarksville, Tennessee. We're having growing population, so because of that, the city's growing suburbs and subdivisions have really contributed to more roads that need to be upgraded and improved as we get more traffic. So yeah, it's happening there when I was growing up, but everywhere else in Tennessee, it wasn't really that packed. It wasn't that much of an issue. So when it comes to sort of the population, both states don't feel too overcrowded, dependent upon where you live. Now, going to the more important discussions that I want to talk about is the weather and the natural landscapes. And when it comes to the natural landscapes, yeah, a lot of people have said that the ecoregions of Texas are a lot more diverse. We have the Blackland Prairie, the Post Oak Savanna. You have the Gulf prairies and marshes that are near the Gulf of Mexico, where you have, of course, a lot of like swamps and marshes and stuff like that. If you're into that type of biome, if you're into that type of region, then you have, of course, in eastern Texas, you have the thick kind of rolling terrain that's covered with pines and oaks and rich bottomlands with like tall hardwoods that characterize the forests of of eastern Texas. You have very beautiful forests. I drove through there. It's very tall, dense forests that I thought were beautiful. And also you have like of course the Pecos, the Edwards Plateau, rolling plains, the cross timberlands. You have a kind of a diversity that is shown on the kind of Texas's Parks and Wildlife website, which I highly recommend you guys check out. But even with that said, when I was there, what I kind of saw and what I've sort of experienced in Texas was a lot of grassland, a lot of savanna, and a lot of shrubland, and a mixture of kind of woodland and smaller forests that are there. Now, people talk about Texas having the Texas Hill Country, which was in and around the area I was in Austin, Texas. But the thing is that the forests there aren't as beautiful as the forests that we have in Tennessee. In Tennessee, of course, we have this kind of mixture of temperate deciduous forest biome, with about 52% of the state being covered in what's known as oak hickory forests. Appalachian oak pine and cove hardwood forests are found in the Blue Ridge Mountains and Cumberland Plateau, and also bottomland hardwood forests are common throughout much of the state as well. And the thing is that I think that the type of pine hardwood forest that you see even across much of Tennessee, especially in eastern Tennessee, is far more beautiful to look at, and it's far more awesome to kind of experience going hiking and camping in those types of environments versus what you see in Texas. Yeah, the hill country is sort of remarkable, but what you get is a lot of mesquite forests and a lot of brushland and a lot of like savanna type conditions, a lot of savanna woodland conditions. Not very tall forests, not very beautiful forests. Again, a lot of brown mixture of brushland, shrubland, and scrubland that exist in Texas, that in comparison to the kind of Appalachian forest that I was, hiking through, it just blows, the Appalachian forests blow it out of the park. It's absolutely beautiful. If you want to live in Tennessee, I would always recommend moving to eastern Tennessee, around Knoxville, around Oak Ridge, or even in Chattanooga. Chattanooga is a very popular city and growing city because of the kind of beautiful mountains that are in that area and the beautiful forests that are in that area. It's absolutely stunning to see. And yeah, Texas has the plateau, Edwards Plateau, and has the piney woods, but that mixture of woodland, savanna, prairie, and grasslands, to me, seeing the kind of dense forest that exists in Tennessee, I think kind of just, I don't know, it just comes off as not very unique, because when I drove from Texas to Colorado, it's mostly rolling hills of grassland and brushland and savanna, and it's just flat. And that's all you see. Whereas like in Tennessee, if you're going from east to west, you get a mixture of mountains to rolling hills to flat, kind of gently rolling hills of eastern Tennessee, which is some fertile soil and a lot of farmland, which is absolutely beautiful and stunning. And it's really great just seeing that kind of transition happen from eastern Tennessee to western Tennessee, seeing that. It's absolutely beautiful. Whereas like when I was driving through much of Texas, going through the Panhandle, it's, flat and more flat lands, and it's not very beautiful in my opinion when it comes to natural landscapes. And I know Texans are going to get upset. Yeah, there's a diversity of regions that you guys have, but I don't see those regions as very gorgeous in comparison to what we have in Tennessee. Now, coming upon weather, which is, I think, very important, Texas, most of the year, when I was in Austin, Texas for about a year and a half, 9 months out of the year, when I was there, it's hot to humid to sort of unbearable for most of the year. And then 3 months out of the year, you get mild temperatures. Yes, you sometimes do experience winter conditions. I was in the 2021 blizzard that happened in the state, and I thought that was kind of crazy that they experienced those type of temperatures, because they said it's like once in a century event. But like other than that, much of the rest of the year you get these hot temperatures, with only a few months of the year with mild temperatures interspersed with hot temperatures and hot days coming through. Really feels like an oven, really cooks, even though in contrast, I think Tennessee does experience a lot more rain and a lot higher humidity. In Tennessee, it just, when it rains during the summer, it really brings on that humidity, and it does feel like a blanket on your body. It can be overwhelming at times, but I think that you do get these contrasting seasons. You do get spring, summer, fall, and winter, whereas you get more summer and fall, most of the year summer, and then a little bit of fall in Texas. And I don't think it's that, I don't know, I think that those types of temperatures can really get to you, especially in my condition. I'm living in an RV, and it really just cooks all the time in the summer, so you're just stuck with that until even into November. I remember in November it was like there was 80 to 90 degree days in Texas, and it was just ridiculous, and I was like getting sick and tired of how hot it was just being there in Texas most of the year. So I couldn't handle it, even though most people would say living in Tennessee with it constantly raining in the winter times and constantly raining even in the summer times, the humidity can get to them as well. And I understand that, but I would take the humidity over much of the cooking, burning hot summers where you require a friggin' air conditioner just to kind of survive. Yeah, it's just unbelievable in Texas, and especially with climate change, Texas is just getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and drier and drier and drier. And yeah, I feel like those are two things that make Texas almost difficult for me to recommend as a livable state. It's the weather and the kind of natural landscapes. Texas, of course, does have beautiful spots. There's a lot of rugged terrain in much of western Texas, the high plains, the rolling plains and stuff. There's the piney woods, of course, but I don't know. It's like it's not worth it, in my opinion. It's not as diverse as they like to say on their website, on the kind of Texas Parks and Wildlife website. And the weather also is just too oppressive. It's just way too freaking hot to stay there all year around long. Whereas in Tennessee, yeah, in July you get it really humid, but it can have we have really cool nights, and going into September and October it starts to cool down, and it starts to become really pleasant as you get those kind of fall temperatures. And also you see the changing of the leaves, throughout the kind of oak pine forest that we have in Tennessee, and it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. Whereas, yeah, you see that a little bit in the hill country in Texas, the changing of the leaves, but it's not on a much larger scale as what you see in Tennessee. So let me know, where am I wrong when it comes to the kind of weather and natural landscapes of Texas? Where am I wrong, and where do you think that is the best place to live, where it's a lot more beautiful in terms of, I guess, landscape in Texas? And what do you guys think about the weather too in Texas? I mean, I'm here in Colorado, and the weather here is pretty mild in the summer, and it's pretty cold in the winter, but it's still such a beautiful state. I love the Rockies here. The reason why I'm here in Colorado is because I've lived in Tennessee for all my life. I lived in Texas, and a friend recommended me moving out here to Colorado, and you know what? He was right. It's an absolutely gorgeous state with the Rockies. I mean, the contrast in topography between eastern Colorado and western Colorado is crazy, just to see if you look at it like a topographic map of Colorado. But when it comes to Tennessee and Texas, I think back to that discussion, I would recommend people moving to Tennessee, because I think Texas is somewhat of an overrated state. I really do. A lot of people are moving there. I know that it's growing very quickly, but I think that Tennessee has a lot more to offer. There's a lot more to see. It's a lot more beautiful of a state, and I feel that it's truly underrated as a state. I recommend Tennessee all the way. Go Tennessee. Go Tennessee Titans. I love the Titans. I'm not a huge fan of the Cowboys. So yeah, that's one other thing on top of it. But yeah, overall, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think of Texas versus Tennessee? Which state would you rather live in? Which state do you like the weather best? Do you like the landscapes best? Let me know as I just go on and start ranting about these two states. So yeah, with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And let me know what you guys think, and have a wonderful day.